my vision is a humanity that is freed and therefore moving swiftly back into emotional intelligence, into sustainable relationship with nature around us, with others, and then from that will become incredible advancements. Free energy, we're moving toward free energy, and therefore people will be freed. They won't be slaves, paying rent and paying bills, and all that rubbish, all that absolute rubbish will go, and that we will be free, and that there will be incredible technology, green technology that works to enhance nature, that advanced 5D tech that can heal any ailment immediately. Like that's all here already. It's just been suppressed by who. And so when these shackles are taken off humanity, I see us being very happy, healthy, vibrantly creative, and living all over I feel like sort of not these huge mega cities. I feel like we're going to spread out more and live in denser nature, and have a really good time.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Going Out Looking In, the podcast where we're exploring the human experience through conscious conversations. My name is Maxi, I'm your host. And first of all, let's take a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Anali. Skilama. And arrive into the space. Feel into what it is to be human today for you. And now, I'm gonna hit you with this powerful episode, with this conversation between myself and Chrissie Fire Mane. Chrissie, yeah, she brings the fire. She really, truly does. She's a mother, she's an activist, she's a medicine woman, she's a facilitator, she's a wisdom keeper, and she's the co-founder of what is the Mana movement, an organization, a community, a tribe that focuses on the remembrance, on the connection of what it is to be human in 2024, in these times. And that is also what we were speaking about. What does that truly mean? How can we connect to us? How can we return? How can we remember? How can we find stability in times of fluidity, in times of distraction, destruction, and the buzz, and all of the different stimuli that we are bombarded with on a daily basis? How can we return to ourselves, center us, move through the world with integrity and stability and values and love and an open heart, but also the discernment and the boundaries? How can we work with our triggers? What's the power behind anger and grief? All of that is in this conversation. And yeah, I'm just sitting here trying to find words again, and I have to say something smart, or want to say something smart, but it's a feeling. It's a feeling that I'm leaving these episodes with, I'm going in with an open mind and preparation, but then it's the magic of the moment. And that is, with this conversation, no different. And I'm so excited to share it with you. Chrissie is going to be part of Sacred Sons Convergence 9, the remembrance, the first container of where the masculine and the feminine, the brothers and the sisters are meeting together. There's this once in a lifetime first kind of thing. Like, it's never been done before, at least in this on this scale. And Chrissie's going to bring in her expertise of working with women and with people within the Mana movement. And yeah, if you're curious on what that work includes, this episode will definitely shine a light on that. We're speaking also about about activism, and I have to smile because like it's getting thrown around a lot nowadays. I know like what it is to be, you know, an activist and how to stand in for change. And, you know, Chrissie is being part of also, you know, an organization called Greenpeace. You know, that's where she worked in. And it took her around the world. And, you know, it's within her, I feel like within her DNA to be an activist. But there's, as with all things, a range to it, right? And the nuances and the intention behind the activism and behind pushing forward change can make a significant change. Like, there is a big difference of the internal place that you're coming from when standing up for something or against something. So the movement, is it towards something? Is it away from something? Speaking about that as well. And I also feel like it's worth mentioning that Chrissie was named chaqaruna, which is a bridge person, by the Quiero, which is an indigenous tribe and the indigenous people from the Peruvian Andes. And, you know, it's for me, it comes with a great humility to be speaking directly with people such as Chrissie, have her share her light and wisdom with us on this medium that is the podcast. Which, you know, all of that, it originates in wisdom that it has been kept for millennia. And so I approach that with great humility, and it's an honor for me to share it with you. So with that being said, I wish you beautiful insights and fun. Let's have fun. That's why we're here. Let's have fun with this episode. Myself and Chrissie Fire Mane. And yeah, I also always, you know, start these with a little prayer, a little blessing. And I don't know, for this one, I stumbled across a poem. It's called "The Blessing of the Good Work" by Richard Rudd. And I find it's very suitable for, I feel like, the work that I'm doing with the podcast, but also the beautiful work that you're doing with the Mana movement. So if you're up for it, I would just like to, I can recite the poem, and we can just take a second to breathe together, and then we can go into the episode.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Great. All right. So, the blessing of the good work. Just also arriving in the space. Always got my feet on the ground for these. Just invite us to tune into the body and where we are right now. Different time zones, different locations, but united in the heart. And bringing the awareness to this vessel, which is the beautiful body, and nourish it with 3 breaths. So in through the nose and out through the mouth. Anali. And out, Skilama. Anali. Skilama. One more for the ancestors. Anali. Skilama. May the light of our souls guide us as we approach daily work in the world. May the soft hues of our differing views merge in a delicate blend of fruitfulness. May our soul's voice be heard and held here in the silent circle of our trust. Together, may we proffer our sacred work as a tonic for the trembling, parched lips of the world. May our work fill us with the joy of creation, and may we never waste a single obstacle, surmounting each alone, yet all together, our heads bowed, our passionate hearts aflame. May the great work of our soul's higher purpose never become a burden to us. May we serve the whole together in impeccable perfection, in impeccable imperfection, weaving the loose strands of our many dreams into the emerald web of the great dreamer. May evening find us blessed and fulfilled, our day's work softly laid down. May we enter each night grateful and fully prepared for the mystery of replenishment. May the light of our souls grow brighter each day, drawing us close, a fragrant family of glittering virtues. May our souls be blessed and blessed, and blessed again as we come together in mutual reverence to place with care the candles of our hearts around the silent circle of the whole. And with that, I'm going to move into the conversation with you. Thank you for doing this with me.
It's a pleasure.
So, on this day, what's alive for you, Chrissie? How are you feeling today?
Quite honestly, confronted. I've had a confronting day. I've been quite triggered today. And just assessing a lot of things, a lot of questions end up running through my mind when I'm triggered. And so, I've had a day of, just trying to see the bigger picture and remember that my path is my path. And, it doesn't mean that it's anyone else's. And that people will certainly be comrades on that path for periods, and that can change in an instant. And I've had quite a lot of challenge or learning around that, Maxi, especially last year, biggest challenge of my life, worst year of my life, around that. And something similar, but to a much lesser degree, came in today that just sort of challenged my heart. And it triggered me. It triggered, these, I guess, these wounds, that I have, that we all have around, I guess, not being understood. Not being understood. I think that's the main reason that I get upset or we get triggered. And I know it's the same for a lot of others. It's the not feeling like we're not being understood. So that's what I'm feeling today. Just a mixed bag of all the emotions that brings with it,
Right.
Fear, excitement, anger, disgust, betrayal, so many things it brings up. But I know it will pass. I just sort of do my best to feel it all as much as I can. Be real with myself and my heart as much as I can. And then, just soldier on. Really keep going. Know that this is part of the path.
Right.
It's part of it.
Yeah, I love that. In that interview that you gave with Adam from Sacred Sons, you were speaking about that as well. Just re-listened to it yesterday, preparation for this one. And yeah, you guys were speaking about the path and, about the looking at it from the outside, and you're just like, wow, why does this soul has to suffer that much or go through so much, pain or obstacles or hurdles? But, it is all part of the path, essentially. And I guess, I would just be curious, like, how was the evolution for you with those, like, triggers? So when you are getting triggered, like, yeah, because, like, I can relate so much, very much right now as well, where I'm at in my life with all the stuff that I know, it's like, this is like the one thing, but then life happens. So I would just be curious, how do you deal with the triggers when they arise, and how do you hold space for yourself now as opposed to in the past?
I think more I'm honoring my feelings more and more, Maxi. Do you know, like, I have had a I think, like a lot of us, I've had a pattern of wanting to forgive and be understanding and empathetic to others, often to the detriment of myself, where I will allow disrespect or allow quite negative energies to exist around or to come close in, all in the name of being loving. This has been like a big lesson for me that, that the path is challenged, when we're, for all of us, when we're trying to go against the grain on our planet at the moment, where, when we're really going against quite a heavy grain of spiritual suppression, and we're trying to walk a path of, waking humanity up again and gathering them and in loving, circles, and, there's a lot of opposition to that, and the opposition can come through our greatest friends. The opposition can come through team members that you'd never expect to turn on you. And it's just negative energy. It's not even them. It's negative energy. The masters in Peru, have been teaching me that about for forever, but I just can remember so clearly, Maxim, many years ago, probably about 10 years ago, one of the most respected medicine men in the Andes, Puma of Chinchero, his name is, he warned me. He said, Chrissie, it's going to come through to stop you. It's going to come through people that you'd least expect. And he said, it'll even come through me, Chrissie. And that happened. Me and Puma did have a boom, a couple of years later. And it's like, wow, I'm fascinated by this, but I guess I'm honoring, to come back to your question, I'm honoring my senses more. Do you know, like my senses say, oof, something's off here. I can feel it. What's up? No, there's something very foreign in the space. It's not my mate anymore. There's something foreign going on here. And yeah, I think I guess for me, wanting to always go into, bigger picture. Like I'm not here. I don't know if I'm here to have people feel comfortable all the time around me. I'm not here for that. I'm not here to make people feel, I don't know, what am I trying to say? I guess, I'm just, a bottom line, Maxie, is I think I've learnt that I'm onto it. I've learnt that I'm actually really quite onto it, that my instincts and my intuition is onto it. And I've doubted that a lot in the past, and it's got me into major hot water, where I've doubted it and then wanted to be nice and loving and let people really cause some great damage around me and mana. And so, I'm learning just to honour my alarm system. It's ancient. It's an ancient alarm system in our intuition. So that's what I'm learning, is that yeah, when something's up, like trust it, and then the triggers, the things that trigger me, are my unresolved upset, and so I recognize today that, like, wow, I'm still on high alert, I guess, because of intrusions that occurred in Mana last year, like serious intrusions of negative energy, infiltration of some incredibly destructive negative energy came in masterfully, and I can see that I'm still on alert because of that. And I think that's fair enough. And, like, I have to be now more discerning, but yeah, I probably reacted from that place of just being, scared of this. We're just humans, really. Like, we're all just humans, and we all have human feelings, and we're all bumbling through this together. Yeah. Also it's a very charged time, energetically, even just like specifically the weekend we just had. There's some big things happening, in the astral, like major things going on that, shaking a lot of people, shaking things up and trying to challenge us more and more. But yeah, I don't know. I just try to put one foot in front of the other and back myself. I've learnt that, Maxie, that you cannot rely on or depend upon anyone to back you. They may offer that, and that's wonderful to receive the support and the backing when people offer it, but to expect it, I don't think that's a great idea on this path, especially on that path that I was telling you about, of trying to awake humans at a time that's going against such a massive grain. It's best to just do your thing as best as you can, do it with joy, do it willingly, and if people come and offer support, fantastic, but to not become dependent on that or expect that they'll be there tomorrow. That's something I'm learning very much.
Yeah, well, we're already into it now. So, I mean, I was struck by you because I experience you, and the energy I'm receiving is, I feel like you, and I admire that deeply. I feel lightness within you, like a joy and something that, you bring into, I'm sure, the work and the containers you are moving in, for sure. But then there's like a search for truth, like a fierce penetration of like, well, I'm on a mission, whatever that is, and you are guided and supported by greater forces, and it's the balancing of the two, right? Because I can, even through a camera, I can feel like your warmth and your care, and and that. And I know that you're a mother, and it even played a role in the, a little bit in the setup of this call, right, where we had to move around, and I was like, yeah, please, take the time that you need, and I take care of. So it's like the boundary piece, right? So those two things, right, the like opening the heart and letting people in and receiving, but then also like the discernment piece and the strong boundaries. I get that very strongly from you, and I feel like you're very much in integrity and in alignment with that. So that it's funny that the conversation naturally went there now, because I literally wrote it down here. And I was, I guess, putting it in a question, was just curious how you were able to, I don't know, or like if you can just speak a little bit on that journey from like, holding the two, holding that joy, that lightness, and that maybe also like sort of innocence in the heart, which I feel like is important for us to not like sort of guard up and armor up too much, but then also the discernment piece and the boundaries. Like how did your relationship with that evolve over time?
Great question. I can see that I feel like since I did like the majority of my healing work, like at the end of my 20s, I've become, like I always had a lot of joy, but then there was also a lot of heaviness, a lot of real heaviness and sorrow I was carrying. And then when I cleaned, the vast majority of that up, I feel like I've just had so much luck and joy and beauty and spontaneity and expansion, and like really I just feel like I've naturally had so much of it the last 16 years. But then the boundaries piece, look, I think what it is it's using both at the same time. I feel like that's kind of what I saw when you asked the question. I'm someone that my doors are wide open, and, like I have a proverbial home or, a temple, and the doors are open, and, I'm going to welcome everyone in. But if you come into the temple and you shit on the carpet, I'm going to ask you to leave. If you're going to graffiti my walls, and you're going to come in and try and mess up the ceremony that's happening in this space, then I'm going to ask you to leave. And I'll ask you very swiftly to leave with no holds barred. I will escort you from the door of my temple. But in doing that and in asking you to leave, I'll feel very joyful about you. Like, it's like, okay, and off you go. Like, it's okay. We don't match. That's cool. Right. Ciao. Like, go well. It's like I had to strongly call major boundaries with a small group of people last year. Mm-hmm. And I would do it again and again and again. Absolutely no regrets in what I did. It was vital. But when I tune into those people, I don't have this like, and I don't like you anymore. I don't have that. It's like, okay, you're beautiful brothers and sisters of planet Earth trying to work out your path. That's fine. Like, go well. But don't bring your shit over here. Like, it's not welcome. Right. And so it's it's kind of like to me, a simultaneous lightness of being, but a super strong boundary, where it's almost like, hey, this isn't a big deal. It's not a big deal that I'm asking you to leave the temple. There's plenty of other temples. Off you go. There's millions of places you can go on the earth and explore. But I am, I hold the space in my temple. Right. And I would pray that of everyone else out there, and that's what Mana's all about, strengthening people to be the sovereign leader in their energetic space, home, company, life, is to hold it, however you want to hold it. And so I wasn't doing that efficiently last year, and that's what allowed, this energy to come in. I sort of let it in too far, and then I was dubious about what was going on, and I could sense it, but I didn't back myself enough to go, I can sense this. Here's the door. Off you go. I let it in far too long, and there was major destruction that was created. And I do see it as the hardest lesson of my life, most awful experience of my whole life, what happened. But the most valuable lesson of my life, like, wow, like incredible alchemy came from that. And I've gotten myself to a place where it's like I'm grateful for that. I recognize I created that. Like we create everything. So I created that situation. To learn a bloody hard lesson.
What was the lesson?
And I'm very like? What was the lesson? To not hand over creative control of my ship to anyone. Just not going to happen. Do you know, Mana is my creation, my medicine. That's why it grows beautifully, because people come in for my medicine, and then I foolishly handed over the wheel to someone that I gave my power away to, greatly gave my power away to. And this woman grabbed the wheel, you know, in a manipulative way and said, oh, I'm going to steer Mana in a much better direction. And it was it was all my creation, totally my fault. It was all I don't blame her at all. It was mine. I own it.
Mm-hmm.
But Jesus, that was the lesson. The lessons come from that. It's like, no. It doesn't matter how much talent spiritually someone has, you know, because that was the smoke and the mirrors, was the talent.
I love how straightforward you came through with that. Like you were just like, bam, that's the lesson. And I mean, what a big one. What a big one. I mean, that's like, you know, the essence of that at the core. That's like, you know, it's like your creativity. That's your gift, I guess. Your responsibility from God is to share that with us. And to claim that, that's powerful. Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Yeah, and I'm bloody good with my path. Like I've never had any doubts about my path. Oh, am I on the right path? Is there a different path? I've never had that. I feel so blessed that my path has just been super clearly laid out for me from Spirit since I was a child. Like it's just been, I haven't even thought about it. It's just been walk that way. That's the only way you're walking.
Tell me further about that.
Oh, okay. I don't know what to say because it's just been it's just been like an unwritten, like an unsaid, ancient written thing that I've just felt like I'm in the groove of a, you know, like a vinyl record. The needle is just in that groove, and it's just a seamless flow of progression of my life. I haven't really done much seeking too far outside of myself, you know, like I've wanted to teach myself and learn from myself. Of course, I've had incredible teachers and masters come in, but they've just sort of come to me, I have to say, which has been profound. I don't know. I've just, it feels like, just the stepping stones of life were just really so clearly laid out. From, you know, being a girl to a teen to leaving school, like it just really, my path just presented itself. And so, like there have come forces through people that have tried to make me doubt, especially this woman I mentioned who came into Mana last year and really, you know, like very, very masterfully tried to make me doubt myself. And I could feel it. It was strong energy. Ooh, it was strong. It was very strong and very masterful and very manipulative. But luckily, you know, like there was no shaking it. And I just said, no, thank you. No, that's not, there's the door. Off you go.
She sounds like a messenger of like really delivering this piece to you, and also basically challenging you where you're at, like in the height of your growth, you know, because, you know, you can handle it now. Now you got the tools, you know, you're ready for it, and you can right. Discern. Yeah.
Yes, and I think that, you know, like it's I don't know, like I'm all about creation. Do you know, like that's one of the things, that's probably one of the things that drives me, is the power of a human being in creation. You know, i.e. we are creators. We're meant to be creating whatever you want to create. It's up to you, but we're supposed to be doing that, and we're not supposed to be stagnant and uninspired and procrastinating. That's not really a being online and activated. Like we have creative visions, and we are, you know, supposed to be just manifesting them, just creating them. Like, and you know, usually it's the ones that don't have that intact, you know, that aren't successful creators. And when I say successful, I certainly don't mean money. I don't mean 3D success. I mean, that sense of real soul satisfaction in oneself that would have our own cup filled so much that we do not need to seek, from another's cup.
Right.
And so it's very clear to me that this poor lady, and people like that, are not creators. They're not creating, they don't have confidence to create their own things. And then you're very confronted when someone is, a good creator and loves to create things and just creates things all the time. And I love creating beauty, and I'm creating a lot of it. I can say that without it being an ego thing. It's just like, that's what I'm doing.
Exactly.
People say it all the time. Like, it's not even a debate. It's what's happening. And some people get really upset about that. I don't know why it's wild, isn't it? But inside they get really upset about that, and then sort of like to try and make it about me,
I relate so hard. I relate so much. Someone who, there's, I don't know, since sitting in this chair and like doing this kind of work and putting myself out on a weekly basis, like it's obviously, a surface of projection for the masses. I don't know, like it's been a wild journey, and I had to learn this the hard way, but that taught me the deep reverence for anyone who is creating instead of just receiving, just like, taking in information and taking in creativity by others. That's beautiful. I love to do it. But to create it myself is a whole different cup of tea. And so I relate with that so much. And just by the fact of like that, you've been doing this, by whatever forces moving through you, it's sort of like, I don't know, this is like your obligation to creation, you're just like fulfilling your dharma, that's, I feel like what it is that you're doing, and that attracts and repels people. Yeah, I relate very much to that. And so I guess, like, because you touched on your childhood, and I also read some stuff about your bio, like that you went into activism and that you also went into music. So I would love to have you touch a little bit on your journey. What was your journey like to where you are today? Because there's much that I would love to speak about the mana movement, but how did you even get there?
Thank you. I think that when I was young, I know that when I was young, I was really inspired by justice. So I can remember, before I knew much about what was happening in the world in terms of, the controls and the elite and, all this kind of thing, before I was conscious of that. And I wanted to be a lawyer. When I was probably 13 or something, I wanted to defend the sacred. I wanted to defend the underdog. I wanted to stand up and use my voice, my heart, my power, my conviction, these tools that I had. I was a public speaker since a young age, like my father trained me how to speak in front of people from the age of about 8. And so I remember really wanting to do that. I remember thinking, yep, that's where I'm going to go. And then the next thing I wanted to be was a botanist. I was like, my fascination and passion turned to plants. But anyhow, I was a rebel, like when I started to understand more the traps of modern society and that there was a big game going on, it really brought out that inner fire, that inner rebel more and more and more. And I definitely have a lot of warrior in me, and so when I went to London, I lived in London for about 7 years. 19, I left Australia and went to London, and just found myself working with Greenpeace, in the press office. So that was a good position for me. I was an assistant in there. I was obviously young, but watching the way that the actions, from the activists were then communicated to the press,
Right.
and broadcast out for attention, that's what I was, involved in. And, photography and the power of media to message. I loved that. And, I felt so strongly, and still do, about trees and the oceans and the animals and everything like that. So that was a good place to be for me for a while. I do remember looking around at my colleagues who were all brilliant. Like, wow. The people working in London, the HQ of Greenpeace back then, in 90, what would it be, 99, year 2000, they were like powerhouses, like really highly intelligent and highly trained scientists, and they were amazing. And I would loved doing that. But then from that, just sort of started to blend art and activism. So worked as a water protector, here in Australia, and when I came back here, and made documentaries, and was always, when I lived in Byron Bay in the Shire there, I was very active in the community at rallying support for whatever the issue was, whether it was forests or the fracking mainly, to anything really. But I have a lot of fire in me, and when there's awful things happening on the planet, and there's more now, I would stand up and use my voice a lot. And I think that through the recent years of, especially through lockdown and COVID and the very, very unsafe space that the online space is these days, it really exponentially went into a really awful place online kind of, not everywhere obviously, but online spaces of Facebook and Instagram and Reddit and all these places where there's just so much judgment and opinionate, really awful debate and opinion. And I just recognized that there were different ways for me to actually contribute to issues than to chime in with more fight energy, which is really where the elite who are controlling all of these wars, and they're doing it all on purpose, and they love it when we're riled up and fighting each other. That's exactly what they want. Because we're disempowered when we're doing that. Energetically, we're very disempowered when we're in fight and fear and all these frequencies. We're not actually in making much change. And so over the years of, I guess, taming my own fire, but also watching the external fires, grow out of control when it comes to activism. Generally, of course, there's exceptions, certainly, but generally I've found it a place of what people wanting to fight each other about their opinions, rather than how can we assist, those in need or those environments that are endangered right now. How can we go about in a loving way to assist that issue? And now it's all, there's so much judgment and awful attack, thrown around at people if you don't agree, if you don't say on social media what they want you to say, if you're not standing for an issue the way that they are and want you to, then you're in the bin. I had a woman recently say to me, "Why aren't you posting more about Gaza?" And I just was like, well, thank you. Thank you. I understand that issue is obviously very important to you. It's a very important issue, and it's heartbreaking as well. But I actually have my reasons. Thank you. This is my space. Mm-hmm. Like I said, this is my temple. You got yours. Do what you want in yours. This is mine. I'm the boss here in my temple. Anyway, I was trying to be very loving and understanding of her. But the next thing, she was like, slamming hatred all over the internet about me and that I'm a Zionist, and
Of course, yeah.
and I just thought, what a waste of one's energy. I just had to say to her, love, you're wasting so much energy. Like, I'm not the enemy. And to think that I'm uncaring, or to try and project that I'm uncaring about the Palestinians just because I am not, you know, like, that's insane. That's just insane. You know, to assume that people are uncaring. Like, what? So anyway, activism, do you know, like I was saying at that time, activism is not sharing things on social media. It's not activism, that's clicking share. That's just, you know, that's not activism. Activism is actually being on the front line, or like going out and getting off the couch and doing things out in the world selflessly, perhaps not documented.
Yeah.
You know, that I feel like that's activism. Supporting activism or activists is you clicking. It could be, you know, you could click. It could be some. That's not activism, please. You know, you know, but yeah, I just found it very interesting. So my activism has turned, you know, and I could very easily dedicate the rest of every hour of every day of every week of my life to Project Angel and fighting the traffickers and bringing those rings down. Like, I have so much fire in me and strategy, like intelligent strategy, and the part of me that wants to bring that industry to its knees. I could so easily go headlong into that. And at times I'm, you know, even though I've just said to you I don't question my path, that's probably the only questioning I've done recently is, and that's because a woman told me, you know, so a woman, you know, came in and said, you should be spending more time on Project Angel. And I thought, is that true?
Oh.
Is that true? Like, it was planted in there to wobble me. But I could. Well, do you know, like, if I had a twin or if I had a parallel existence, Maxie, I could very easily go 100% into activism. Do you know, I really could. But I see that, you know, what I'm doing, you know, is activism. But, you know, and I was thinking about this just yesterday, Maxie. It's like, I feel like whatever we are stepping into to stand for, we are going to serve that movement far more efficiently if we come at it from joy, and because of what we're creating, the joy of what we're moving into. Let's create from there the joy of that future vision of whatever that issue is that we're wanting to change, the joy of what it will be when we have changed it. Let's draw on that vision and bring that energy into our missions. Because standing for missions or wanting to make change because of the rubbish that we're leaving behind, you know, with that energy, you can do that, of course, and a lot of people are doing that. But I just feel that the true effectivity and efficacy right now is in being in joy about the beauty up ahead. That, you know, like the joy of peace. Like, if you want to be an anti-war activist, you know, like, be in the joy of peace. Do you know, because that's what you want to create, surely, isn't it? You know, isn't that what you're standing for? If you're anti-war, aren't you creating peace? Well, show it to me. Create it now. Speak from peace now in your activism. Don't scream at me for not being on the same page as you. That's more war energy. That's what I told this young lady. Do you not see and feel the war energy that you're coming at me with? And you're talking about stopping war. You're in one right now. She didn't like that.
So powerful. Oh, yes. It's the movement towards something instead of away from something else, right? It's like this.
That's it.
Yeah. It's like, you know, yeah, exactly. Like, also with leadership, you know, how do we steer an organization, a movement, you know? Are we moving towards something or are we moving away from something? It's a whole different energy. I love that. I love that very much. Like it also, like, the one is closing down something energetically, I feel like. The other one is opening up something.
That's right. And look, there is certainly a place for saying no. Do you know, there is certainly a place for, I've said it before, big, fat, fuck off, sacred, hell knows. Like that, we need a lot more of that because there is so much unruly destruction happening on our planet. Like we do need to stand up and say no more, 100%. But if we can, and it's not easy. It's a challenge. But as we're saying no, embody, what we are creating, embody what we are standing for. Like I've said before, like, no, you can leave my temple, and I'm joyful about that because what I'm creating is a space that's ideally free of hatred. Thank you. So off you go. Do you know, not off you go out, oh, how dare you, and I'm going to stay grumpy because I can't believe you brought that hatred in here. It's like it's going to happen. It's going to happen, and, like let it go and be happy about it. I don't know. I just think, I always say it, Maxie, but I think the world needs more happy people. I just think we need lots more, and there's so much to be grumpy about. Of course, like there's so much to be grumpy about, but they're manufacturing it that way. Like that, I think the real love warriors are the ones that are able to stay true to joy and innocence and purity. Like I've said, I think that's badass. Like that's really badass because there's a ton of forces that are pushing you so far away from that. And God, they want you to be angry. God, they want you to be grumpy. God, they want you to be laboring along. And so I just think like wherever we can create from joy and make sure the joy is in, I don't know. That's just what I reckon. Just one little opinion.
The Mana movement. I guess, what are we moving towards, Chrissie? What are we moving towards with the Mana movement?
I mean, ideally, my greatest vision is a free humanity. So that's whereby the forces of spiritual control and spiritual limitation have left the planet. So those organized forces, the 15 dark soul families that have been controlling our planet for a very long time, they have gone, and they will be gone soon. And when they go, we will see a renaissance, I'm sure. We will see a spiritual flourishing, a golden age, because it is in our nature to thrive and be abundant and to be creative and to look after each other and to work in harmony with nature. I do feel that is inherent to human beings that are human. Human beings, true human beings. I think that I feel like we don't need to touch the positive. We just need to remove the negative. We are naturally positive. I think that we naturally create beautiful things. We've just been contending with so much for a very long time. And I do feel that it's going to change swiftly. And so my vision is a humanity that is freed and therefore moving swiftly back into emotional intelligence, into sustainable relationship with nature around us, with others. And then from that will become incredible advancements. Free energy, we're moving toward free energy, and therefore people will be freed. They won't be slaves, paying rent and paying bills and all that rubbish, all that absolute rubbish will go, and that we will be free, and that there will be incredible technology, green technology that works to enhance nature, that advanced 5D tech that can heal any ailment immediately. Like that's all here already. It's just been suppressed by who. And so when these shackles are taken off humanity, I see us being very happy, healthy, vibrantly creative and living all over in I feel like sort of not these huge mega cities. I feel like we're going to spread out more and live in denser nature and have a really good time. Do you know, like the technology that can clean the oceans and melt plastic and clean the air, like it's all there. It's just been locked up in the patent office of the White House for far too long. Like we can clean this planet up in a second.
Right.
You know, and I just feel that we've just got to keep moving and opening hearts, because more open hearts is more love on the planet. More love on the planet means the scales are tipped more, and more awareness that comes in, less spiritual control can happen. People become sovereign in their lives and won't just become slaves to some matrix. And that obviously disempowers the matrix, which is the main control structure of these families, these dark soul families. And yeah, like we just take the planet back.
Mm-hmm.
But
yes.
yeah, that's what we're moving toward.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like that's kind of that's probably the biggest picture I have for the planet. And then, you know, moving toward that for me is a heart by heart, being by being mission, where just one person, you know, coming out of limitation and opening up their heart can affect so many. Do you know, like it's not that every single person has to become a fully healed spiritual master for things to change on the planet. That's not it at all. It's actually just a few of us that need to wake up enough that the scales are tipped, and then sane, loving leadership can take over, and humanity will just follow that. Because the majority of humans just follow. You know, they're beautiful, humble creatures. You know, they're not here to lead and to make. They're here, and unfortunately, they're following, you know, a false system, false light, and they're not aware of that. So, you know, it's not as big of a mission and a challenge as we think it is. You know, like it can feel like that. You know, I live in a small town, you know, and yesterday I was in Sydney and I was on the plane coming back. And when you look at the magnitude of how many people there are on the planet, you can go, shit, how are we ever going to do this? This much concrete, this much plastic, this much pollution, this much unconsciousness. You know, the mind can start to go, how is it possible? But I just know that it's the domino effect is profound, and it really we're so close. We're so close. Like already major changes are happening in lots of industries. Major changes are happening, and it's a tidal wave, you know, and it's happening, and we're in it. We're in it.
The dawning of
very exciting.
Yeah, the dawning of the age of Aquarius is upon us, and it's gonna wash away all of these very limiting, I feel like, frequencies. I love what you said about, like, it's rather a taking away, like an opening up of the blinds, so to speak, so that the light can come in, which has been always shining. It's not like it, you know, it hasn't been shining, you know. It's not like that we as humans have forgotten how to live a prosperous life. I feel like we've just like taken on, you know, we've just like, I don't know, put down the shades, you know, or we were forced, or like, you know, certain entities and people turn down the blinds, and that doesn't, you know, erase the fact that the sun has been shining all along, and we can reclaim that. And I guess, you know, I really would love to have you speak on sort of like what do you feel like is the emotion, the feeling in the body and in the heart that helps us and that we need more of, that also you bring forward in your work? What's that feeling that needs to be evoked in people for the changes that need to be happening?
It's a very interesting question. It's funny, you know, the emotions that I feel would be good for the majority of us to access and acknowledge more are rage and grief, because we're suppressing them. like the vast majority of human beings are suppressing grief on a major scale. We've become so desensitized in this world. Sorry, my dog. Jupiter. Sit. We've become so desensitized in this world that we are not accessing the true depths of our hearts, whereby I say this often in our groups, like what we are undergoing on the planet, like it is so incredibly upsetting, like so tragic what's happening, to the whales. I mean, just that alone, if we really let that in, like what is happening, it is so tragic. What is happening, to homeless people on the streets? What is happening to the Palestinians right now? What is happening to our indigenous tribes in the Amazon? Like all over, there's 1,000 issues going on simultaneously that are pressing in on our hearts as a collective. But we have become so desensitized because in a way, we've had to become desensitized to just get on in this very harsh world. And that speaks to, I guess, the incredible resilience of the human race and the incredible resilience of the human heart. But we are all suppressing huge amounts of grief and rage at what is happening. Like I would be very concerned if anyone truly said that they weren't angry about the state of the world and what's happening. Like it's natural and normal to be very angry and have a lot of grief about where things are at. And so when you ask that question, those two emotions came up immediately because I do believe they help us access the depth of not only our heart, but our purpose here. Like what because it's funny, Maxie, whatever we are upset by, we care about, yep. And we're not caring enough for our planet and for each other. And so it feels like our care-o-meter, our ability to step in to our purpose to serve with love in whatever it is you want to do, but our ability to step into that or access that even is generally buried under unexpressed emotions. And so, I think that we'd be really much better off if we just bloody got real about where we're at, where this planet is at and how we really feel about that. My teacher, Liz Gilbert Grant, she passed 3 years ago. She's my greatest teacher. We talk about this and teach this a lot, and we call it, getting on a real scale. Because if we are not on a real scale, if we're not being really honest with ourselves or with a situation where it's really at, we're not going to be able to change it. And it's like, if I were to take an issue, the human trafficking issue, which is something that, we obviously are involved in with Project Angel. We can't change that unless we get honest about it. You can't change anything that you're not willing to look at. And so I don't believe that humans are uncaring, or I just don't think that's the truth. I think that we're very caring. I think that we've become very desensitized, like hugely, largely thick. Had thick walls. We've created very thick walls around our hearts because it hurts in there. And what we're seeing hurts a lot. And so we avoid it. Oh, well, isn't that awful? Another war. Oh my God, isn't that awful? Oh, better not look at the news. We've had burnout. We've had compassion and empathy burnout as a race. millennia and millennia of atrocities. And yes, so I think that we need to cry a bit more, a lot more actually, and probably get bloody angry. Sacred anger. No, this is not okay. Not on my watch. Is this okay that you poison our largest aquifer in Australia? No, that is not okay with me. Do you know, like this sacred anger? I think these are very, very powerful emotions that can lead us to incredible service if we were just to feel them.
Yeah, I love the, potential contradictions of the conversation, but this is like, it's both, like you naturally, organically, we now elaborated. It's like we need to address the fear and the anger and the rage within us. Feel it, hold it close, address it. It's like the sacred, like you said, the boundaries, all of that. And then it's the joy and the moving towards something, right? Because if you stay in that grief, I feel like, it's also sort of pretty stagnant. But then sort of like, how can we turn this and then create from it, right?
100%.
Yeah. So this is like, I feel like the alchemy of the grief, that's like, yeah, and sacred anger. Oh yeah, I love that. There's like it's like the kintsugi, right? Like the golden, the pot repairing,
Yes.
So we shatter the vase, and we splintered it across the floor, and then we put it together in the most beautiful way. And in that recreation, in that reclaiming, in that remembrance, right? I mean, Sacred Sons, like, I don't know, we just remember what has been already there all this time. Yeah.
That's right. And it's like you said, it's not about indulging in grief and anger. There's one thing to be said for feeling emotion and expressing it in a sane and safe manner in such spaces as the Sacred Sons containers, in the mana gatherings, like that. It's very important to be accountable for the build-up of rage or grief, and to get help, to get held, and to move it. But indulging in it, which is what happens mostly when people aren't held in containers, when they're just trying to process it in their own lives and don't have a guide with it, we see an indulgence where people get stuck. They get stuck in these emotions, and it's not moving through. It's feeling it and swishing around in it and staying in it, and that's not very serviceful either. All of a sudden, we're not really helping anywhere. We're stuck on ourselves. Actually, we get very selfish and just keep feeling it. There's not a bigger picture to moving and to feeling it. I think when we are given a bigger picture, when people recognize that there is a higher ground, a great reason to go into containers like we've just mentioned and feel very deeply, it leads us, down the road of the heart path, so to speak, to a place where we can experience more joy and our purpose kicks in. There's a reason for doing it. It's very important to be honest about the grief and about the rage, and to take responsibility for it, and to move into containers, feel it, express it, let it move through. And then on the other side of that there's an awareness change. We have an awareness change when we release heavy energy to the depths. When we really, you can go to the very depths and fall to pieces. There's a gem at the bottom of the pool, so to speak. There's an awareness that we're not going to get unless we express the depth of the emotion. My teacher used to say that all of our awarenesses are sitting underneath our unexpressed emotion. And that is it. It's not we're just expressing emotion for expressing emotion's sake. It's like, no, it's because that's where the gems are. That's where the lessons for our soul's development actually lie. At the bottom of the grief, at the bottom of the rage, that's where you will find a big fat emerald or sapphire that you pick up and becomes one of the tools in your tool belt. That awareness will be individual and unique to you and your journey. But they naturally come in at the emptying of the expression of emotion. It flips, and in comes an awareness. Got it. Right. And all of a sudden, all of that upset made sense. You get the awareness, you understand why it went down, and on we go. And so, yes, I mean, I'd probably say, back to your question of what emotions do you think that we should be all feeling? I mean, bloody any of them. Just like, go for it. Just like, get in there, cats. Like, get in there and feel the total emotional scale. It is our birthright to enjoy the feeling of the emotional scale in its entirety. Each of those emotions can feel blissful. When we take the mind's judgment off it, these ones are pretty, these ones are not pretty, these ones are evolved, these ones are not evolved. Like, no. They just all have consequences, energetic consequences. The judgment on them is insane. We need to be able to feel all of them. If we're resisting some of the emotions, what's that? What are we resisting? And as you'll know, it is a scale. The emotions are on a scale, and if you want to experience like the most finest frequencies of serenity and absolute cosmic bliss, then you're going to want to be able to experience the darkest and the most the depths of grief or apathy or spiritual death. Because they're the same scale. If we limit ourselves here, we're limiting ourselves here as well. The whole scale shrinks. So I'm not so down with the dudes that I only want to feel all the pretty la ones all the time. And that's spirituality, and that's bullshit. No, it's not. No, like, we are emotional beings, and our emotional body is an interface, between us and nature itself. Every experience is an emotional one. Every experience goes through the emotional body, and we're being informed at all times through, our ability to relate to our emotions and understand what they are teaching us, because they are teaching us something. They're not just inconveniences. they're teaching us, And so, like, I'm coming full circle, Maxie, back to our original discussion, which is, what am I learning from these triggers? I'm learning to really trust my emotions. That, like, when I'm feeling angry or upset or betrayed, you can bet your bottom dollar that's exactly what's going on energetically. And it's not like, oh, I'm feeling that, it'll pass. It's like, yeah, I'm feeling that, but that's like, I'm picking things up through my emotional body. It is, it's another radar system. We don't know enough about it. I know nothing about the emotional body. I just know a little. So much to learn. But, yeah, I'm fascinated by emotions.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Talking about that and the work you're doing with the mana movement in your gatherings, what is there emotions, is there a frequency that you could name that is predominantly surfacing, or that you are looking forward to bring to the world through this work with the mana movement?
Yeah, totally. So it's the energy. I'm not quite sure what name you'd give it on the emotional scale. I'd have to ask Keone Hanale. He's got all the names for all the emotions, my Hawaiian mystic friend. But it's certainty. It's a feeling of the certainty of one's beauty, immense power of heart and spiritual ability to create. That is like a a playing field energy that runs through our gatherings. That is a frequency that I am absolutely holding with both hands as a staff in the ground, and also that my team hold. So when people come into our space, that's what they're being invited into, an energy where there is absolutely no doubt of your power and the incredible power of your heart, your ability to heal and move things swiftly, and your the great purpose in love that you've come here with. Like, we know those things. Like, I know that about human beings. And when I meet any human being, I have a particular habit, I guess, of being able to feel and see their spirit and heart power beyond the stuff, beyond the baggage or the trauma, even beyond the personality, into the spirit and the heart of a being. And so when I am addressing groups, I am talking straight into the beingness, bypassing the personality. And so our communications at Mana, in our gatherings, and certainly in the Humanity workshop, we're speaking to the I guess, speaking to or holding, that energy throughout, which allows people to step into that, recognize that, remember that in themselves and others very swiftly, because that's an environment, that's the culture and the climate of Mana. That is the culture that we are manifesting and strengthening. And my path is in the Andes, and the Andean spiritual path and the people of the Andes and the Andean cosmology is very strong. They're strong folk. The spiritual paths there, they're strong service people. They will walk, and carry so much up the steepest mountains. And, that's a symbol of the energy, and of the path there. And obviously that has informed my life so much. It's where my spirit path is. And so that energy, which is the same one really, comes through Mana a lot. We pray a lot in Mana, and we use Quechua words from the Andes, Ari and Kausaipach. And these words are not murmured. These words are delivered with all the conviction and love of your spirit, that your spirit is powerful and strong. And so it's so beautiful at our gatherings to see and feel people that have been knocked around by life, or that have been mistreated by society, and that have come into a state of real doubt of themselves and of their offerings. When they come in and they feel that, and that's the norm, and everyone's going to be treated powerfully, and I'm powerful, and we pray powerfully, and you just see them literally sit straight at their spine, and they're like, I am strong. I do have this. I have got offerings, and they know it, and it doesn't take long to reactivate that in people, especially not at this time on the planet. So I think, that's the frequency. It's like a certainty.
It's fucking awesome.
Feels good.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, it is fucking awesome. It is fucking awesome.
It is.
We love it. It's so fun treating people powerfully. I am committed to doing that. I'm not going to tiptoe around people and have them dump all their victim and pretend to be woe is me, for very long. Yes, there is a time for victim, for sure. But if I can sense that being can move faster than they are right now, I will challenge them to do that. And I'm good at sensing when someone really is in a victim state and has no capacity to move into responsibility or power. I'm certainly not going to force them. I will tenderly address the wounds. But for most of humanity, we can move much faster than we are. We can step up into power much faster than we are currently. And that is my commitment. I have a mini story of a sister that came in and did the humanity workshop in Byron Bay last year. At that point, it was like a weekend seminar, non-residential, come in for 3 days. And she came in on the Friday night and, very heavy with a lot of trauma and upset and, just nothing was going right and just really heavy. I mean, and there had been horrendous things that had happened to this woman, But, within the first 2 hours of the weekend workshop she started to shake and started to freak out because she, was hitting in on her stuff, and it was all too much. It was all too much, the sort of level of responsibility that was being asked of her, and I just cracked straight through all of it, all that shaking baggage. It's not even her; it's the baggage shaking.
Yeah.
Cracked straight through. I just said, no, enough of this. No, enough. You're powerful. You can move through this swiftly. Now, come on. And, I know that, you don't, I've got to be careful when I talk, like with some people, it's not the right thing, but when it is, it's so freeing. And she just sort of looked at me like no one has ever treated me powerfully. And no one had ever treated her powerfully. And she kind of like cracked out of it. And she said, what, you're not going to let me? You're not going to let me be a victim? With a little smile on her face. I said, no fucking way. She said, her eyes just went really bright. And that woman has flown. We did a couple of one-on-ones after that. She came back in and did another 5-day with us on country. And her life is completely changed. Because, in a lot of modern therapy, certainly a lot of, psychology, counselling, there's just so much victiming of people. And that doesn't help them at all. And that's why most of the time they're upset, is because no one's seeing them. No one is actually seeing their power. And so I find it really fun. I find it really fun. Rattling those victim cages. No, come on, it's bullshit. Get out of there. Come on, let's fucking go. We've got a planet to sort out. Let's go.
Yeah. Do
you know, it actually can be the thing that cracks people out of a reverie of illusion, that is being manufactured once again. And look, it's a thick and strong one. I can understand why it's not easy for people to get out of it. It's a thick and it's a strong one, and our society peddles it.
There's the fire. Blame. Chrissie Fire. Yeah, there it is. I love it. Coming through.
A lot of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, but I feel like, like you said, you put it perfectly. It's important to walk this, with compassion, and that makes you a good facilitator. You tune into each individual and you see where they're at, and then you meet them there, and there's no judgment for where somebody is at. And the higher your understanding and your felt experience of the range of the human experience and the emotions and the traumas and all the hurt and all of that is, the more you can empathize, with people and their path. And you're like, I see where you're at, and I've been there myself. And like you said, I see that within my men's circles as well. The medicine will be different for each one, and it's very powerful to. I feel like also the spillover from like one person in a circle stepping into their power to how that affects other people, and how that naturally evokes and sheds their skin, where it's just like, oh my God, like to see this metamorphosis of someone who is like, I don't know, it's like the cocoon of the butterfly, it's just like the skin shedding of the snake. It's just like happening in front of your eyes. And that's why I feel like the witnessing is oftentimes so powerful in the circles as well, and does so much of the work. It's just like by seeing people step into their power, you're reminded of your own. And that is, I feel like also what came through so much in a conversation you had with Adam. And, I'm just, next week, I'm about to go to an immersion of Sacred Sons again. And, it's just like the water and the well of community that I'm drinking off that, reminds me of my power. It's just like the gathering. And then it's not like, of course, the facilitators are amazing. Of course, deepest of reverence to all of them. I've learned so much from them, but I've learned so much from myself, you know, because the community and the spaces that just have been provided, just the gathering, just the coming together, just the community. And I feel like that's for me, has been the biggest medicine, has been just the community. Which is the antidote of the isolation, of the lone wolf, of the victim. That's on the other side. It's like the coming together, and within that, it's just like, no questions asked. I always say that, like my first convergence last year with the sons, getting up with 300 men and honoring the sun in the morning, and the, you know, and just being with her, you know, being with Mother Earth and with the spirits, and opening up the portals every morning. It's just like there's no question within me, not a single cell within me that doesn't know how to treat each other or how to treat the planet. You know, this is naturally ingrained within my soul. I know, we know, and those spaces help us to remember that. I feel like that is, I even get so fired up because this is like how empowerment looks like, you know. Yeah, it is. And I can see why, you know, people and the organizations profit from us not being in that state. I can see that, but it's time to fucking stop that.
It is. That's right.
Yeah, that needed to come out. Yeah.
Good on you, Maxi. There's your fire.
It is.
Yeah, passion. I tell you, like, I don't know. There's so many different methodologies and spiritual paths and so many, and everything obviously is welcome and has its place. But personally, like, I want to hang out with the passionate crew. Do you know, like, not over passionate and zealous, but, you know, like the ones that have got like they've got so much excitement about what they're doing. Like that to me is like, they're cool people to hang with, you know, like excited, creating. That makes life so joyful, is to be with people that are loving their life, like loving their creation. Oh, I have people like that in my team, and it's so beautiful. Like, you know, like really developing their passions, whatever it is, doesn't matter. But like developing it and going for it and excited about that. I just think, my gosh, like that really, again, like I said, drives me, like creation, like people having a beautiful time creating. Do you know, it could be flower altars, it could be cakes for your children. It doesn't matter what it is, but like the beauty of creating and enjoying that. Like I feel so sad. Like it really touches me deeply when I see people that aren't enjoying their lives, you know, and that's the majority. Obviously, we know that. It's the vast majority who really are not enjoying their life. And I think, fucking hell, like what the hell has gone wrong here? Like what has gone wrong on a major scale that human beings aren't relishing life? Like relishing it. It is so orgasmic and fantastical and awe. Like there's just awe everywhere. Like just like everything is fascinating. Everything is fascinating. Like I think what happened, like, you know, and that's, I guess, what drives me in the work I do. Like, because these keys, you know, activate people again to the beauty, and it's so fun watching people come into a deliciousness of life again. You know, I think that again is inherent to us, and the system has squashed that out of us, that inherent awe of everything.
Do you recall a moment where you felt that very powerfully for yourself for the first time?
Oh, I mean, I feel that most days, Maxi.
Right.
Do you mean like is that what you're asking? The awe?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, no, I feel it most days.
Right.
Oh, no, every day. What am I saying? Absolutely every day. Multiple times I feel in awe, just in awe of it could be anything, of people and their hearts, of what we're walking through as a species at the moment. Like, I'm just in awe, of leaves, of the love pouring out of my dog,
Mm.
the beauty of food, my daughter's laughter, like her skin. Like, I'm in awe, like constantly in awe. Like, I mean,
And has
I
that
don't
has
know, but
that has that been like that since you can remember, or what was it different at a point in your life?
I think I think it was always there.
Right.
I think it was always there. And then I think probably schooling might have, the education system, I think maybe, I feel, like I'm just answering it from my intuition right now, but I feel I was definitely in that space of awe as a child. Like, if you look at photos of me as a baby, my eyes are so wide and fixed. I'm just total awe. And I think that I think the education system dulled that, because that's what it does. And then I feel like I very rebelliously grabbed a hold of that again, through sort of art and the romantic energy of me, the artist in me in my teen years and leaving school. I was like, and the rebellious artist. I was like, no, I'm taking that back. And yeah, I think ever since, sort of late teens, I've been in awe again.
Mm.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of my life in sort of the appreciation of beauty, of the dimension of beauty. Not physical beauty, but the dimension of beauty. And yeah, and I think that's, like, you heard in that podcast with Adam, but that's what I'm keen on creating. And that's what I want to embody and walk us back to, is that joy and that beauty, the reverence and the awe of beauty around us.
Mm.
Yeah.
What kind of emotions, because we were speaking about this now, and I don't know, it just came to me. What kind of emotions would you name in association to your childhood?
Tenderness. Okay. I had a beautiful childhood. I see that Creator gave me the most beautiful parents who are still deeply in love. I'm very aware that I was gifted that, so that I would be as solid as I could be in my walk of service, because my parents are absolutely incredible. And it didn't mean that it was perfect, of course. And, and I had upset with them. But I healed that, worked out my shit. And I recognized that, on the scale of things, I had the most beautiful childhood. I was so lucky. Well, it's funny. I'm going to catch myself, because I just want to speak to that part of us that names ourselves lucky for having what I believe is to be our birthright. So we'd say, for example, aren't we so lucky that we've got good food? So many people don't. Aren't we lucky? That used to drive my teacher wild. But no, this is not a privilege to have good food. This is our birthright. It is only those elite and those dark soul families that have twisted things up so much that have us thinking that it's a privilege to have food. Do you see how wild that is? And we get into that mindset. And I was just about to say, aren't I lucky, that I had a beautiful childhood? Like, what? That shouldn't be a privilege.
I love that.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be a privilege, that we all have a home over our heads. That should be normal. That we all have shelter. That we all have community. that we all have healthy food and clean water to drink. That is our birthright. That should not be a privilege. And so I just want to stand against those sort of twisted beliefs where not twisted, but where we don't recognize who's pulling the strings and speak it and call it. It's like, no, it's there's enough wealth and food and resources to wrap around the planet 100 times. This, distribution, this uneven distribution is by design.
Yep.
It's not that some are lucky and others aren't lucky. No, those guys are controlling the whole thing. And yes, it's funny. It's dichotomous, isn't it? It's tragic that a lot of people don't have food to eat. But it shouldn't be a privilege.
What do you love about your parents?
They're strong. They're strong and they're loving and they're humble. They both get shit done. Both of them. They are both creators. My mum was a peasant born of Russian refugees. They had nothing, she was born in a prisoner of war camp in Germany. They came out on boats to Australia. It was really hard for them, and she just bloody created her life. My mum created what she wanted to create. She was like, well, nothing was going to stop her. Yep, she knew what she wanted. She went after it and she got it. And she's a hard worker and she's multi-talented, the most incredible creator and artist, non-stop creator. If she's not sewing the most incredible suits, she's out there brining her 250 olive trees, to sewing curtains, to putting on the most ridiculous dinner parties. She's one of the most incredible chefs, just constantly creating. And my father's the same. He has all these passions and he's creating in all of them, and they're 84 and 78 and they are healthy and young and traveling and in love and they are just rocking their lives. There's no slowing them down. And I just love that about them. They demonstrated to me really fulfilled creative lives. And an energy of don't rely on anyone. They didn't hand me any money. They weren't parents that went, oh, here you go, here's a car. Oh, no way. No, me and my sister and brother, we had to work for everything. We had to earn our own money and earn for everything, and it's still like that, and the ethics that they handed down to me and my siblings are incredible. Not just things like that, but of nutrition, of eating really, really well. My mum, was incredibly passionate about nutrition and, just so many wonderful things they passed down to me. And I'm incredibly grateful. I'm so close to them, Maxie. I'm going to miss them a lot when I leave Australia. I'm going to miss them a lot. Love them so much. But I know I'm being called over to America to help. And it'd be easier for me just to stay here and, be with them. But I'm on a bit of a mission. So I'm going to honour that. Yeah, but I love them so much. They're so cute. My mummy and my daddy is so cute. Bob and Nina.
Yeah.
They're bloody legends. They're the life of the party. I can remember at all the parties I've ever had, they're the last to leave, and they're like, all my friends are like, your parents rock. Like, yeah, they fucking rock. They fucking party. They have the best time ever.
I love that.
So I'm like, Bob and Nina, you rule. Thank you very much for everything.
Yeah. Speak the names and let them take up some space. Yeah, that's beautiful.
We pray for our parents in Sweat, in Andy and Sweat Lodge. Sometimes, not every ceremony, but sometimes in the fourth portal of water, we speak our parents' names. Everybody in the lodge will pray for their mother and their father, and we pour more water on the rocks for their mother and their father. And it's a beautiful it's a beautiful ritual for honoring where we came
Yeah,
from.
it's
Yeah.
just I don't know if is it an international day, but yeah, Father's Day and Mother's Day just coming up now. So 3 days, it's
Correct.
Father's Day, right? So Thursday is that, and then Sunday is Mother's Day, at least over here. And yeah, I've been preparing some offerings. I'm just looking over here to my altar, and yeah, just won't be with them physically, but I will be with them, yeah, in spirit. And yeah, it's
Oh.
yeah, same for me, Chrissy, same for me. Been Yeah, I love them very much. Very
Oh.
amazing people, and I can so much see beyond the shortcomings. It's so easy to just pick apart what they've done wrong or not, where they didn't
Yes.
address my needs to the best. Well, no, like, yeah. It's funny, in the men's
Yeah.
circle just a couple of days ago, and I don't know where that came from, but it just came out of me. It's just like, if I can see my father, if I can see the boy within my father, then he can see the man in me. And and yeah, and so it is with my mum. And so it is with my mum. If I can see the small girl within her, the innocence and the naivete towards the world, and the striving for joy, just joy and happiness, I can, yeah, it makes me, and to address that and to meet her in that, I don't know, it turns the tables a little bit, and it allows me to, for her to see me as somebody who is like,
No, Judy.
not only like her son and the small boy, but it's like the man holding space for her as well. And that's a powerful, yeah, turning of the
Ini, can you call
humanity
Jupiter?
there. Yeah. Yeah, parents. It's a
Yes.
deep one.
Oh, it's beautiful to hear you speak of your parents, Maxie. It's really beautiful.
Yeah. And having said that, and also because, like we were touching on very briefly at the beginning, I wanted to ask you about like motherhood and what that has introduced into your life and has taught you.
Oh. Oh gosh, where do we start? Okay. So many things. So many things. I've learned a lot about, I guess, yeah, I've learned a lot about the power of a human spirit through raising children. And sort of, I guess, choosing to raise my children, so approaching motherhood in a way that was informed from my own childhood. And like I said, it was a beautiful childhood. But I was like, how could I improve on that? Or how could I allow my children's spirits to be as free as possible, And so, I chose to mother my children in a kind of an earth school kind of way, where I didn't want to send them to school. And, school for them really was traveling and, mostly to Peru, to be honest. And, being in ceremony and with the indigenous and in Sweat Lodge and drinking wachuma up Machu Picchu, from the ages of 5 and 6, they were doing that. And yeah, like letting them really be as free as possible, just letting them, they lived, half the time back then with their father, and half the time with me. And, with him, he was, out bush mostly, maybe even a tent, or at times he'd have a little cabin or whatever. So my kids were just free, like barefoot in the bush a lot of the time. And, and in a lot of sort of free-spirited community up in Byron, and then traveling a lot. And then they decided at one point they wanted to go to school. And I was disappointed, in my, my expectation was like, oh, shit, really? Oh my God. And I was like, sure, like it's your life, like you want to go. And luckily the school around, where I was living was this tiny little beach town, tiny little public school that just felt very safe. And I knew one of the teachers there. And so I was like, okay, we can do this, I think. But watching them, then navigate their own lives, like I've learned a lot about being, like you get what you wish for. I've learned that, like what program that you're sort of running for your children, or what your beliefs are, if you hold them really strongly, you will create that. So I remember I used to really feel that, children by the age of 12, 13, really at that initiation stage, should know what they're about, know what they want to do, and, know what they're about, and be off doing that, whether that's apprenticeships or working, or, I think that our society babies adolescents, we make them, we wrap them in cotton wool. No, they're not allowed to do this and that, and they're actually very, very powerful. And I used to think that solidly. No, by the age of 12, kids could be off traveling the world and know who they are, and like that's what I do. I mean, this society's crazy, but like really, if it was a sane society, that's where I reckon kids that age, where they should be up to. And so what did I create? I created a son who is so powerful and so bloody sure of himself that, by the age of 13, he was jumping out the window and not coming back for weeks. And, like, oh, I've got this. And I was like, oh my God, like this. It was terrifying. But I was like, Chrissie, you created this. This young kid who was just like, I know what to do. I don't need you. I don't need you, he'd say. Now he's living on the other side of the world with his father. I've had to really let go. Yep, it's your path. Off you go. He's 14. Go. And it's confronting. Like the my baggage. Wants to go. Oh, I want my son clothes. But it's like no, Chrissie, you created this. That at that age, young boys need to be becoming men with men, and I couldn't provide that in my home. I don't have a partner. Their father lives on the other side of the world. And it was like, what's more important, what I want or this boy developing into a man? It's a no-brainer.
That's very powerful for you to say that as a mother like that.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, brother.
I mean...
Well, it's not easy. Shit. I walk past his bedroom, every day, and I smell him and, our life, and I go, where the fuck is he? And I'm like, oh, no, you know where he is. And it's good that he's there, and you're backing it, It's, but I might not, I probably will never live with him again. He's probably, I think, he'll move out of his father's soon. He'll just be off. Because he's powerful. I raised a powerhouse, Maxie.
Well, who knows?
And all my friends are they're like, Zion's a powerhouse. Like, look out. And it's like, yeah, okay, so off you go, mate. Like, I trust you. Yeah, it's terrifying. Parenthood is terrifying, when they do start pushing up against things. And he was running with the Rat Pack, and it was drugs, and it was court, and it was cops, and it was theft, and it was punching holes in everything. And, it was terrifying, as he pushed up against society, looking for that man who was strong enough to match him.
To meet him, yeah.
Which is his father. And his father was nowhere to be found, so he was just ripping this town to pieces. And no one... Like, even beautiful brother friends, even Mana team, they were so beautiful and they tried so hard, but it just didn't work. Like there was no one but his father that could have done that job. And so, now he's with him,
Right.
which is wonderful.
Right.
Yeah.
What about your daughter?
I don't know if that answers your question. My daughter is a mini me, and she is with me, and she's coming to America with me. Inni. Her name means Mother Earth or Pachamama in the Bantu dialect of Africa, where her lineage is from. Her father's from Cameroon. And so Inni is an absolute delight. I mean, both of them are, but she's just, she's an incredible little medicine woman. I can remember, in fact, I just, I'm going through my hard drives at the moment, preparing for the move and just ordering things, and I came across this song that we used to have a little recording studio in our home, and she recorded a song. I just said to her, and you can hear it in the recording, like, you just sing to the people, Inni. You just open that big heart and you just sing to the people. And she just goes into this little trance and sings this song to, it's just 3, about how your magic is your magic and no one can take your magic from you. And I know it. I feel it because I know it. And the moon is there to be shared with me. I want to share the sun with someone. Like, unbelievable. And I remember even as a little one, she used to, at times wander past me and a client and I'd watch her assessing the energy. I'd watch her like at 2 and 3, just watching, feeling. And she'd sometimes come over and just place a hand on the person just for a few seconds and then walk off. Like she is very aware and amazing little being and free as well. Like she knows now, and I think that comes from her grandparents, that she can do 5 different things, 6, 10, 20 different things with her life at one time. So she's like, let's go. We're on a venture. So, we're just going to cruise around the world for a while and just like find where we need to be and see what happens. But yeah, she's amazing. She's my little mini me.
Yeah, beautiful. So when are you guys going off to the US?
We'll get there in about August, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, hopefully August to September. Definitely, obviously for Convergence, Inni will be there too. We'll rock Convergence with you all. But yes, probably around August or September. I hope we will arrive, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll be in California for that, or in like Convergence, Seattle. Really. Yeah, but.
Yes, but I'm not feeling California is not a part of America that's calling me. I'm being very much called to drop in with the canyons and the indigenous of southern Utah. That's very strong calling, so we'll certainly start there. Right. Also getting very strongly called to Colorado, but I have no idea. We might end up in Egypt. I don't know, but we're going to America and we'll see what happens. But I'm not controlling it from my mind, or like it is definitely a spirit mission. So I don't really have any preference, so to speak. I'm just going to go and find out where I'm needed,
right.
and be there.
Well, I'm looking at my pillow down here. I'm surely gonna send out some prayers for spirits to ask you to come to Germany.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
we can do that.
That'd be incredible. Like, yeah, I don't know. It feels very like I feel like I don't know where I am right now and how I got here is I don't know, caused by similar forces that are beyond me. And I'm here for the ride. I'm just like, all right, you want me to be here? That's what I'm gonna do. And so, yeah, I'm building and creating, and these connections, they already in the past have turned out to be very fruitful ones in various avenues, and so I just put it out there in the universe, see what happens, and just know that whomever for yourself and whomever you want to bring along. There's always, shelter and a full belly for you. So,
Oh,
yeah.
thank you so much. That's so beautiful. We have some beautiful Mana tribe in Germany, so I'm sure it will happen.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It will happen one day. And until then, come and see us in Ireland. We're doing a beautiful event in Ireland in July. So
This year in July.
Yeah, we're going to be there.
Alrighty, here we go again. Okay. With these kind of things, like it's just like, alrighty, gotta do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
July. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Let's please talk about that, because it's another, I don't know, it's another piece of land that, I don't know, for some reason Ireland seems to be relevant. I don't know, it's just coming through all the time. There's several people that I'm highly respecting and very much in awe of and inspired by, and Sacred Sons community very strong there as well, very powerful leaders there. So yes, and it's not too far, it's not too far from me. So.
Oh, gosh. Everything's just a tiny flight away in Germany. You could almost walk. In Europe, I mean, sorry. Everything's so close.
Yeah.
Compared to out here anyway. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I see why you see it that way, coming from Australia. Yeah, for sure. I mean, beautiful. All right, how do we drive this ship home? So it's like, without over ritualizing it, but like there's like a couple of questions, or like some questions that I often ask towards the end. It's like some sort of a ritual. So one of them is, what are you proud of?
I'm really proud of Mana. Yeah, I'm really proud of this beautiful tribe and these beautiful offerings and comrades, and what we're helping to awaken in people, and like I'm really proud of it. I'm really, really, I'm very proud of Mana. Watching really what the inspiration and dedication of one person can create, in how many families, in how many, like it's really, really cool to me. So I'm very proud of Mana, and I'm very, very proud of my two children, Zion and Nini. Yeah, so proud of them.
What are you looking forward to?
Going to America. I can't wait. I've wanted to move there for about 8 years, maybe longer. Like it's been obvious to me that my future, or the people, paths, collaborations, I have known for a long time that they are there. And when I'm there, and it's similar to the ley lines, if you look at the map of Peru, like when I'm over there in those lands in the Americas, like I am activated so much more than I am here. Inspired so much more than I am here. I feel at home, very much at home, so much more than I do here in this country. So I'm really looking forward to those things. Yeah.
And what do we need more of in this world?
Happy people. Happy people. Really, like it's just, the frequency and the energetic field of a happy person is so much more powerful than even the greatest leader who's in his shit. Do you know, like happy people, humble happy people is actually the shift. Yeah.
Humble happy people. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you for this conversation. That was beautiful.
And you, Maxie, thank you. It's just an honour to be asked to speak. Always, thank you. It's been lovely.
Yeah.
Hey, beautiful listener, you have made it all the way through. And I want to take a moment to say thank you. And you can do me an enormous favor. It's all I'm going to ever ask from you. And that is to go to your podcast app right now. And if you enjoyed the episode, give the podcast a 5-star rating. If you want to write 1-2 words or sentences, even more powerful, even better. Thank you, already in advance. And also, while you're at it, just click on that follow button, on that bell notification, so that you never miss a new episode. All of that just contributes, and it helps me to increase the reach of the podcast. That means I can attract bigger guests, and that means I can deliver more powerful episodes. So it's a tiny thing. I'm only gonna ask this little favor of you ever, not more. 10-15 seconds of your time, a couple of clicks, that's it. Makes a huge difference for me as a creator. So thank you so much.